Francis Xavier Ngannou was born September 5th, 1986. Francis Ngannou is a Cameroonian and is a professional mixed martial artist. But this is not why I'm telling you this story. I just want to take you back a bit to Francis Ngannou's beginning. Ngannou was born and raised in the village of Bati, Cameroon. He lived in abject poverty and had little formal education growing up. Ngannou's parents divorced when he was 6 years old and he was sent to live with his aunt at 10 years old. Ngannou started working in a sand quarry in Bati because of lack of funds. As a youngster, he was approached by several gangs in his village to join them. However, Ngannou refused and instead decided to use his father's negative reputation as a street fighter as motivation to do something positive and pursue boxing. Stay with me. At the age 22, Ngannou began training in boxing. Despite the initial reluctance of his family, after training for a year, Ngannou stopped training due to an illness. I want me to count the obstacles: poverty, illness. He poor normally, they call sick when of training. How did various odd jobs? He did various odd jobs to make ends meet. At age 26, when he decided to head to Paris, France, to pursue professional boxing. This guy no get money. Oh, he no get money, oh, but he decide. Say go France, go pursue professional boxing. However, upon reaching Europe, he was jailed for 2 months in Spain for illegally crossing the border. In case you don't understand, a couple of people from Cameroon will gather themselves, head to Libya, then pass through the Mediterranean Sea with balloon boats. And then, that's not even the end. When they get to the other side of the sea, there's a big fence that they have to scale through. You understand? I'm going to scale through that fence 3 good times. And one of those times he was caught and put in jail for 2 months. Then he will be thrown back to the border that he has climbed from. This fence is not a joke to climb. You know, he will climb through. At the end of the day, Francis Ngannou found himself in France, okay? Being a fan of Mike Tyson, Ngannou was originally interested in learning how to box. But Lopez, which is a coach he met in France, an MMA coach, Lopez saw his potentials in MMA, mixed martial arts, and convinced him to try mixed martial arts instead. Lopez gave Ngannou some MMA gear and allowed him to train and sleep at the gym for no cost, thus starting Ngannou's MMA career. He gets to France, nowhere to stay. He started sleeping at the gym. Okay? So now, why am I saying this story? Ngannou is fighting Tyson Fury. You would think that when he got to MMA, his life changed. Of course, his life changed, but he faced another massive obstacle. His contract expired, and he had an injury. He had 1 fight left. He had to fight that fight. If he had lost that fight, that would have been the end of Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou took the chance. He fought one of the biggest, baddest guys in Sirigon, a fellow French guy. And Francis was losing the rounds 2-0, 2. And it was a 5-rounder match. And Francis came back and won the rest 3 rounds and kept his belt. Then the contract wasn't renewed because of demands were not met, arguments and all that. Francis Ngannou decides to leave the UFC, which is arguably the biggest MMA promotion. Now, Francis Ngannou left to be on his own. And arguments here and there. Oh, how will he survive? Even people came and say, oh, he was a big fool. He took the worst decision any human being can take in their life. Blah, 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 blah. He said he wants to box. Who will box him? His rate has dropped. He does not have any clout. The man was quiet. He wasn't responding to anybody. Ladies and gentlemen, the PFA came to Francis Ngannou, gave him a much more better contract than the UFC gave him. But mind you, the PFA is not really the kind of promotion that any top-ranking fighter will want to go to. The most popular people there are the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, and the rest of them. But Francis took that bait. And today, 28th day of October 2023, Francis Ngannou is fighting the biggest, baddest boxer in the history of boxing. Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. And guess who trained Francis Ngannou for the fight? The person that they named Tyson Fury after, who is one of the greatest boxers himself, Mike Onosigo Emokinyovo Tyson, was the one that trained Francis Ngannou. Win or lose, Francis Ngannou is a legend. He has made history. As a matter of fact, the odds are against him, rightfully so. Nobody's expecting him to go into the boxing ring to beat the almighty Gypsy King. But if it happens, that's another conversation entirely. My point basically is Francis Ngannou is making $10 million from this fight. What kind of obstacles do you think you have faced in your life? Once you never say never, that obstacle will give way. Shout out to the one and only true African, Francis Ngannou.